They've toured arenas worldwide, survived breakups, reconciliations, and brushed mortal threats to their very existence. And now, at age 63, Dave Gahan has finally admitted the truth. Depeche Mode fans have whispered for years. In a rare sit-down interview taped at a secluded villa on the Mediterranean coast, the charismatic frontman leaned forward, his blue-black eyes steady, and said 5 simple words. "I never, ever wanted to stop." Those words shattered the hushed rumors that Dave was ready to hang up his microphone, confirming the one thing devotees already suspected: Depeche Mode isn't a fading legacy act, it's his lifeblood. The moment came halfway through the interview, following an in-depth reflection on album production, personal demons, and the toll of decades on the road. When the host gently asked whether 40 years of synth-laden anthems had left him longing for retirement, Dave paused, then smiled, a half-smile that carried the weight of nights spent standing on stage under screaming spotlights. "You know," he said, "every time I think I've sung my last note, I feel something stir in here," and he tapped the left side of his chest, above his heart. "That urge to sing, to connect, to make music with Martin and Andy, it never leaves me." From the band's first chartbuster, "Just Can't Get Enough" in 1981 to their last stadium-filling tour 2 years ago, fans have speculated about Dave's commitment. After surviving a near-fatal heart valve surgery in 2009, and battling addiction even before that, it seemed plausible that he might step aside in favor of a quieter life. But in the softly lit room, gnarled wood floors and vintage synthesizers as backdrop, Dave dispelled every doubt. He told stories of late-night songwriting sessions with Martin Gore in a cramped Paris apartment, of Brian Ferry calling with spontaneous jam session ideas at 3 in the morning, and of the rush he still feels when the red record light clicks on in the studio. He recounted the band's near split in the mid-90s, when creative tensions peaked during the Songs of Faith and Devotion era. "There were moments," he admitted, "when I thought Depeche Mode might break apart forever. But even then, the thought of never performing Enjoy the Silence live again haunted him more than any conflict. Switching off the music would mean switching off a part of himself." He described waking up in a Spanish hotel, Martin's handwriting scrawled in a notebook beside him, "We're not done." That simple message reignited the spark they all thought had dimmed. Transitioning from confessions of the past, Dave outlined the band's plans for the future. He confirmed that within months, they'll return to the studio to record what he calls the next chapter, an album that will fuse their signature electronic textures with unexpected collaborations and guest producers. He teased a vocal performance unlike any in their catalog, a raw acoustic, yes acoustic ballad, that he's co-written with a chart-topping singer-songwriter from Nashville. Dave's eyes lit up as he described the track's closing line, an homage to lifelong fans. "We survived every moment you believed." Hearing him sing those lyrics, he said, gave him chills. And then came the bombshell. When pressed about touring, he didn't hedge. He confirmed a world tour, the biggest we've ever done, slated to launch in late spring of next year. Rather than modest festival slots or VIP club dates, Dave insists on full-scale arena shows, complete with the elaborate pulsating light shows, booming sub-bass soundscapes, and pyrotechnic surprises that define their greatest hits tours. He wants to perform in cities they've never played, Ulaanbaatar, Nuuk and Accra, opening Depeche Mode to fresh continents and fresh audiences. "I've always believed music is universal," he said. "Why stop now?" His confirmation sparked an immediate frenzy online. Within minutes of the interview's premiere, #Mode Forever trended on Twitter, and fans flooded ticket presale websites awaiting announcements. Social media clips of his "never felt like stopping" line went viral. Reaction videos racked up millions of views, and music journalists scrambled for details on dates and venues. Promoters sensed a goldmine. A legacy band once presumed in gentle retirement is roaring back into life with the same hunger that fueled their formative years. Beyond the hype, Dave's words underscore a deeper truth about Depeche Mode's enduring power. They've transcended genre boundaries, influenced generations of artists, and inspired fans to find solace in the shadows of synth chords and whispered lyrics. Yet it's Dave's voice, weathered, resonant, unrepentant, that has always been the soul of the band. His confirmation isn't just an announcement, it's a reaffirmation that creativity knows no expiration date, that passion can outlast promises of rest. In the coming sections, we'll dive into the making of Dave's solo projects, the health scare that nearly ended it all, the behind-the-scenes dynamics with Martin and Andy that shaped this decision, in the secret locations they've scouted for their grand return. We'll hear from tour insiders about the gargantuan stage rigs being designed, the fan testimonials that punctuated Dave's journey, and the emotional significance of returning once more to that Los Angeles Forum stage where, 3 decades ago, he first proved he could own an audience. Before Dave Gahan spoke the words "I never ever wanted to stop," he had carved out a path as a solo artist that many might have taken as his long goodbye. Between 2003 and 2015, he released 3 solo albums, Paper Monsters, Hourglass and Angels and Ghosts, each filled with brooding lyricism and raw confession. Fans know the bruised beauty of Kingdom, and the yearning behind I Need You, but few realize how Dave invested every ounce of personal hardship into those records. He co-wrote with Knox Chandler in converted Brooklyn lofts, tracked vocals in remote Belgian chateaux, and experimented with ambient textures in desert studios. Producers like Jackknife Lee and Soul Savers challenged him to abandon the safety of his Depeche Mode signature sound and lean into vulnerability. On the title track of Angels and Ghosts, you can almost hear the echo of a man rebuilding himself after every fall. Those albums might have marked the end of an era for lesser souls, but for Dave they became fuel for the next big journey. Then came the health scare that nearly silenced the voice of an entire generation. In 2009, while recording with Soul Savers in a converted farmhouse outside Cologne, Dave collapsed in the early hours after a show. A severe tumor on his heart valve forced emergency open-heart surgery in a Munich hospital. Surgeons told him his prognosis could have been much worse without immediate intervention. As he recovered, the idea of stepping back from performing lingered in the sterile hospital corridors, yet he insisted on writing his own ticket. Surrounded by beeping monitors, he scribbled lyrics on hospital napkins, promising himself that surviving would not equate to retirement. That brush with mortality taught him that creative life and heartbeat are inseparable. When he returned to the studio just weeks later, his first words into the microphone were not rehearsed lines but a quiet vow: "This isn't the end." Behind the dark silhouettes of his solo era, the wider story of Depeche Mode's internal dynamics unfolded in parallel. Dave and founding songwriter Martin Gore share an almost telepathic musical bond, yet their creative chemistry has sparred more than once. During the Black Celebration and Music for the Masses tours, tensions flared over song selections and set lists. Andy Fletcher often played peacekeeper, smoothing egos and reminding his bandmates that they had once been 4 friends making music for fun. In private writing retreats, Dave and Martin would retreat to chateaux in the Loire Valley, chopping wood and cooking meals at dawn before unspooling melodic ideas over mugs of coffee. Andy would wait outside in an antique bus fitted with synth racks, playing demo sequences to passers-by. These off-grid sessions sparked the dark soundscapes of Violator and the gothic minimalism of Songs of Faith and Devotion. When conflict flared, Dave would pace moonlit terraces, urging Martin to revisit the chords of camaraderie that had launched them from Basildon pubs to global stages. Those historic songwriting camps are the secret blueprint for what's next. In the months ahead, Depeche Mode has locked themselves into a secluded olive grove villa near Matera, Italy. Surrounded by 1,000-year-old stone walls and ancient olive presses, they will spend weeks coding synth lines by candlelight and testing vocals under vaulted ceilings. Their plan is to capture the raw magic of Martin's early home demos, and Dave's unfiltered emotional immediacy in a setting free from modern distraction. Rumor has it that they've even chartered a private train in Eastern Europe to ferry instruments and analog gear across unspoiled landscapes, searching for the wild reverb of abandoned amphitheaters and decommissioned railway stations. Fans who have trailed these rumors to online forums know only that Depeche Mode loves to cloak new work in hushed anticipation, hints of a vintage mellotron, the shimmer of modular synthesis, or the subaqueous pulse of a Baltic salt cavern. While album details remain tightly under wraps, insiders whisper of a guest collaboration that Dave barely confirmed in the interview, an acoustic duet with Nashville songwriter Brandi Carlile. Early demos suggest a haunting vocal interplay on a track, tentatively titled Requiem of the Night, where soft steel string guitar and minimal piano become the canvas for Dave and Brandi's voices to converse. For digital sleuths scouring producer credits, the name John Congleton appears amid a list of heavyweight collaborators, promising an even grittier edge to Depeche Mode's polished electronics. Dave has remained candid about how solitude can both heal and harm him. After years of living alone on a Lake Geneva houseboat, meditating in dawn mists and writing lyrics on yellow pads, he recognized that isolation fueled creativity but risked eroding his connection to audiences. Martin encouraged him to digitize diaries for lyrical inspiration, while Andy insisted on monthly calls to break the silence. These mechanisms shaped the reflective mood of his solo work, and will now infuse the new Depeche tracks with a sense of intimate vulnerability. Production whispers also mention the retrieval of lost analog demo tapes from the 1980s layer stored in a Berlin vault. Curators recently discovered master reels of early Violator sessions labeled in Dave's handwriting, Shuffle of Hearts and Subterranean Dreams. Those fragments will be reworked, granting longtime collectors a bittersweet thrill, hearing ghost tracks reborn. The prospect of live renditions of previously unpublished riffs has ignited fan forums, pairing digital artifact hunting with analog treasure quests. All of this creative maneuvering leads to the grand return on tour. Dave's admission that he never wanted to stop isn't a routine PR promise, it's a challenge. He wants fans to assemble with an almost ritualistic fervor, to witness the reinvigorated quartet harness decades of mastery and channel it into nostalgia and reinvention. The idea of Depeche Mode playing Ulaanbaatar or Nuuk sounds improbable, but Dave insists that synthesis knows no border, and that audiences in any time zone deserve the chance to fill a cavernous arena with one unified anthem. Hinting at secret pop-up shows in ruins and warehouses months before the main stadium tour, he's setting up a treasure hunt for diehards, email alerts, randomized venue reveals, and exclusive vinyl pressings for those in the know. As we prepare for Section 3, we'll explore fan reactions to his health battles, the ways social media personalities have spearheaded underground campaigns for the new tour, and the unprecedented merchandise strategies, like limited edition cassette releases pressed at a Japanese factory, that Depeche Mode is deploying to reward the most devoted. The adventure has only just begun, and Dave Gahan's bold promise ensures that the next chapter will outshine the last. As Dave Gahan's revelations swept like a synthwave across the internet, communities from Tokyo to Rio poured onto message boards, sharing relief and exhilaration. A flood of tweets paired vintage concert photos with the words, "He isn't done," while Instagram stories flooded with clips of Gahan's "Never Wanted to Stop" confession. Fan threads dissected every nuance of his studio plans, praising the idea of acoustic duets and Olive Grove songwriting. In real time, social media lit up like a neon backdrop behind a stage, showing that Dave's promise resonated as deeply as any classic Depeche Mode lyric. Within hours, prominent music influencers and podcasters picked up the story. YouTubers known for deep dives into 80s synth culture launched reaction videos titled Gahan's Unbreakable Passion, often cradling vintage cassettes or vinyl, while speaking with reverence. On TikTok, hashtag challenges invited fans to share why they believed Depeche Mode would never fade, using short remixes of Enjoy the Silence layered under personal anecdotes. Even audio stream platforms saw creators weaving snippets of Dave's interview into playlists labeled Resilience Anthems. Each post built momentum, proving that grassroots word of mouth still wields power in the digital age. Meanwhile, fan clubs devised secret listening parties to preview demo snippets. In basements, living rooms, and intimate club venues, devotees gathered around old cassette decks and Bluetooth speakers to compare leaked acoustic demos and speculate on Olive Grove sessions. Some meetups required RSVP codes posted in encrypted forums, creating an underground buzz that felt more clandestine than corporate promotions. Candlelight illuminated synth keyboards as groups passed around cherry cola floats, toasting the frontman's irrepressible spirit. These private events underscored the communal thrill of discovering new material long before official release. To amp anticipation for the upcoming world tour, a stealth campaign unfolded under the codename Decode Mode. Fans signed up on a minimalist website, then received periodic puzzles unlocking clues, coordinates to pop-up shows in decommissioned warehouses, brief audio clips buried within QR codes on vintage tour posters, and cryptic MIDI files hinting at setlist surprises. The delighted fanbase collaborated across time zones to solve each riddle, posting decrypted messages that mapped out secret pre-tour warm-up gigs. This interactive approach transformed ticket pre-sales into a shared treasure hunt, forging deeper loyalty. On the merchandise front, Depeche Mode embraced analog nostalgia with a limited cassette run pressed at a historic factory in Nagoya, Japan. Only 2,000 numbered tapes of a raw 4-beat acoustic demo were produced, each stamped with Dave's signature and an Olive Grove motif. Collectors snapped them up instantly, trading on enthusiast platforms for 3-figure sums. Simultaneously, digitally, printed tour posters incorporated invisible UV ink, details visible only under blacklight, rewarding eagle-eyed buyers with glimpses of song titles and backstage photos. These tangible keepsakes reignited the tactile joy of physical media. Further exclusives included a deluxe vinyl box set featuring a custom AR app, scan the inner sleeve with a smartphone, and fans unlocked 3 previously unreleased B-sides plus a 3D holographic snippet of Dave performing in the Olive Grove. Early adopters bragged on fan forums about the crisp accordion of the acoustic Nashville session and the uncanny realism of the mini hologram. Record stores worldwide hosted midnight launches, complete with live DJs spinning remixes and plush listening booths rigged for personal immersion. Meanwhile, authorized fan influencers received bespoke future relic kits, miniature synth modules etched with tour dates, a USB-C drive loaded with high-resolution interview clips, and a handcrafted leather tour bracelet embossed with Depeche Mode's original Basildon coordinates. These insiders created unboxing videos that melded nostalgia and modern flair, ensuring anticipation soared beyond traditional channels. Each reveal felt like an insider wink from the band, cementing the relationship between artist and advocate. Fan-organized listening sessions extended to local radio affiliates. College stations in Manchester, Melbourne, and Montreal held countdown specials featuring Dave's solo highlights and select Mode classics, interspersed with live call-in tributes. Hosts curated Never Stop mixtapes, aligning with the frontman's confession, spotlighting tracks about perseverance and faith. Streaming services responded with curated playlists, Gahan's Revival and Mode Forever, guiding new and longtime fans through an emotional arc that mirrored Dave's journey. At convention panels and pop culture expos, Depeche Mode's management unveiled partnership details with a Japanese cassette museum, where an exhibit titled Rewind the Beat displayed rare Mode artifacts and the limited edition tapes. Attendees strapped on vintage headphones to hear Olive Grove demos, then posed for AR filters that superimposed synth racks behind their shoulders. The synergy of analog relics and cutting-edge tech demonstrated how Dave's saga bridged eras, inspiring collectors and casual listeners alike. As pre-tour mania peaked, ticket marketplaces recorded record-breaking traffic. Dedicated Mode forums buzzed with bootleg scouting for the rumored warehouse warm-ups, and fan-made maps tracked tour bus routes. Street teams plastered cryptic posters in major cities, challenging passers-by to decipher coordinates, etched in binary code. Urban explorers reported finding mini-flyers hidden behind phone booths and under subway seats. The ambient campaign blurred the line between stage magic and real-world intrigue, setting the stage for a tour built on discovery as much as devotion. Through each digital campaign and tangible collectible, Dave Gahan's declaration, "I never ever wanted to stop," transcended mere words. It became a living manifesto that energized fans to co-create his next chapter. Tangible cassettes, Arkansas-infused vinyl, clandestine listening parties, and global scavenger hunts wove a narrative tapestry that elevated the upcoming album and tour into a cultural event. And as Depeche Mode's world tour draws near, the groundwork laid by fan-driven campaigns and analog nods ensures that this return will feel as fresh and vital as those first synth pulses in '81. Inside the secluded Olive Grove villa near Matera, the band's recording phase advanced into full swing. Candles flickered on marble mantels and ancient olive presses, illuminating analog synth modules patched across handcrafted desks. Dave Gahan stepped into a high-ceilinged chamber, lined with weathered stone, picklocked between gnarled trunks and echoing vaults, where Martin Gore awaited at a vintage Yamaha CS80. Andy Fletcher adjusted rack-mount effects, monitoring signal levels on an array of LED meters. Every morning they began at dawn, layering modular synthesizer patterns until sunlight warmed the limestone walls. These sessions have been described by insiders as both meditative and intense. Dave channeled the Villa d'Este ambiance, whispering vocal lines that Stefan Betke then sample-banked on site. Martin improvised guitar loops that emerged from the hush of olive branches overhead. Andy anchored the groove with original Casio tone riffs from the band's earliest demos. Within days, an entirely fresh collection of tracks coalesced, uniting organic warmth with electronic precision. Close-mic'd vocals turned the room into a confessional booth. Dave overcame lingering hesitations from past health vents and addiction scares to deliver takes in single sweeps. "I wanted truth," he confided into the mirrored reflection of the stone archway. "No safety net, no filter." Stories from these sessions now animate fan forums, where leaked snippets of vocal harmonies and unmastered grooves prompt fervent analysis. The Olive Grove tapes, still raw, capture the bark of trees when wind gusts interrupt the silence. Producers quickly isolated these moments and wove them into intros for final mixes, giving the new album an organic heartbeat. By mid-afternoon, guests arrived for secret pop-up shows, unveiled via the Decode Mode puzzles. The first such gig took place in an abandoned water cistern outside Matera. A modest stage had been erected beneath vaulted stone, and a silent crowd wearing headlamps watched the quartet debut 2 tracks, including the Brandi Carlile duet Requiem of the Night. Fans described the intimate atmosphere as nothing less than spiritual. When Dave's opening line rang out, "And the sky remembers every ghost who ever wept," the chamber thrummed with goosebumps. Martin switched seamlessly from synth to classical guitar. Andy's bass lines resonated through carved pillars, and Dave's voice echoed against water stains. The audience erupted in applause as candlelight danced across the ceiling. Later, producers transferred multi-track recordings to a mobile mixing lab parked in a converted Fiat 500. Chief engineer Gareth Jones and mixing consultant Alan Mulder collaborated at odd hours, finessing low-end subharmonics and balancing Martin's loping melodies. Their digital workstation displayed waveforms that pulsed like slow waves. They compared Olive Grove captures with isolated studio takes recorded at Electric Lady in New York, where a second recording leg began the following week. In that legendary facility, Dave worked alongside keyboardist Darren Price and string arranger Will Gregory to overdub cello textures and orchestral swells. Gregory's score, recorded at Abbey Road's Studio 2, added tensile drama beneath Gahan's impassioned refrains. When orchestral stems arrived back in Matera, Martin layered them over church bell chimes sampled from a nearby monastery, forging a cinematic fusion. Throughout these travels, Andy Fletcher maintained the band's internal logistics. He orchestrated equipment transport from Italy to New York, liaised with technical crews in Tokyo for early tour rig trials, and coordinated secure drop zones for visiting guest artists. Among them was Brian Eno, flown in to consult on ambient treatments, imbuing certain tracks with his signature haze. Eno's contribution of processed spoken word vocal fragments, recorded in improvised episodes at Sunset, now emerges as ghostly interludes. Another surprise collaborator is John Grant, who supplied backing vocals on a track titled Open Door, symbolically celebrating the band's renewed openness to experimentation. As rumors swirled that the album may be called Eternal Mode, artwork drafts began to leak. Fans spotted sketches of 4 intertwined ovals beneath a minimalist typeface, evoking the intertwining fates of the band's 4 members. The official reveal is scheduled on Dave's 63rd birthday, a calculated homage to their 1981 debut. Advance press materials promise a deluxe edition with a booklet chronicling Olive Grove songwriting, complete with photographs of Dave and Martin reviewing lyric sheets in moonlight. A limited 12-inch single of Requiem of the Night is due to premiere on Record Store Day, pressed on translucent olive green vinyl. The new album launch will be followed by a pre-sale for VIP packages, including a chance to attend one of the Code Red listening events inside Urban Ruins. Fans who crack the final MIDI puzzle will gain access to secret streaming rooms and receive a commemorative USB drive engraved with the 4 partners' signatures. Tour routing plans compiled by promoter Live Nation show first dates being plotted across South America and Southeast Asia before returning to Europe and North America. All shows promise state-of-the-art production designed by longtime collaborator Anton Corbijn, who has storyboarded immersive video installations that respond in real time to the music's frequencies. In the coming days, Depeche Mode will confirm the album title and announce the lead single release date. The story of how a band nearly brought to retirement by rumors and health crises has reclaimed the creative spark now stands as a testament to endurance and reinvention. Fans can look forward to hearing for themselves why Dave had to say, "I never ever wanted to stop." As anticipation reached a fever pitch, focus shifted from olive groves to the crucible of live performance. In Berlin's legendary Kraftwerk venue, Dave Gahan joined visionary director Anton Corbijn and stage designer Tina McKinney for the first run-through of the concert concept. Corbijn spread storyboard prints across a concrete table, 4 ghostly silhouettes suspended over a living grid of programmable LED cubes, each cube rippling in real time to the sub-bass frequencies. They spoke of ambient veils of fog, timed to Martin Gore's low guitar swells, of strobes that would flash in counterpoint to Andy Fletcher's sequence synth arpeggios. Dave leaned into a custom microphone stand wired to trigger color shifts whenever he pressed its pressure pad. "Who knew I'd be learning drone choreography at 63? He laughed, testing sweeping camera jib movements that traced his vocal lines. Next, the team tested sound in Stockholm's Globe Arena. Immense and acoustically challenging, the dome required precise speaker clusters calibrated to each seating zone. Chief engineer Gareth Jones and mixing specialist Alan Mulder deployed an array of subwoofers buried beneath the stage, while line arrays were rigged to deliver razor-sharp mids and crystalline highs. Dave joined them on stage late at night, raising his voice in a test of "Enjoy the Silence" that reverberated through the seats like tectonic plates shifting. He listened critically, adjusting his in-ear monitor mix to ensure the blend of synth bass and electric guitar didn't muddy his vocals. Side engineers punched code into the desk, programming dynamic EQ sweeps that would compensate for different venue shapes as the world tour hit new continents. Meanwhile, promotional plans went into overdrive. The first single, Requiem of the Night, dropped with a midnight premiere on BBC Radio 1 and Beats 1. Within hours, it shot to the top of global streaming charts, spawning reaction podcasts and reaction videos from influencers who dissected every whisper of Dave's acoustic duet with Brandi Carlile. Music magazines ran cover stories featuring the Olive Grove recording sessions, complete with candid shots of Martin tuning a CS-80 beneath a petrified olive press. Radio hosts invited Dave for phone interviews, prompting him to recount goosebump moments from the Cistern pop-up show in Matera. Overnight, appetite for more was insatiable. For superfans, ticket bundles included the Code Red experience, a chance to decode a MIDI puzzle embedded in limited vinyl pressings and earn entry to a secret warehouse performance in Tokyo, Buenos Aires, or London. Word spread on encrypted fan forums, where participants shared clues, cross-referenced coordinates, and traded tentative set lists. When Dave announced the winners on Instagram Live, he greeted them from backstage at a soundcheck, handing each mini guitar pick necklace stamped with the tour logo. Those handful of guests would later compare notes on Reddit, describing a 2-song sneak peek and an impromptu kanda about the band's future. Merchandise plans leaned into analog authenticity. A special edition cassette of raw demos pressed at a historic factory in Osaka sold out via an exclusive link in the Depeche Mode app. Each tape came wrapped in an olive green paper sleeve, designed by Corbijn and stamped with a minimalist serial number. Collectors posted unboxing reels, the click of a Delrin shell snapping open, the faint whir of magnetic tape, the scratch of stylus on headwear. Alongside that, an augmented reality vinyl edition let buyers point their phones at the LP's etching to summon 3D visuals of the Olive Grove recording space and early pencil sketches of new songs. Behind the scenes, Dave pursued a rigorous fitness and wellness regimen. At a Mediterranean retreat between rehearsals, he worked with a specialist trainer to strengthen his core and rebuild stamina after decades on tour. He practiced diaphragmatic breathing exercises to protect his vocal health, and took cold water dips inspired by Nordic traditions to sharpen mental focus. On camera, he shared snippets of his morning routine: smoothies loaded with spinach and maca powder, Pilates stretches beside an infinity pool, guided meditation over ambient synth drones. Fans praised these candid glimpses, saying they felt more connected to the flesh and blood artist. Back in London, Andy Fletcher oversaw logistics. They deployed custom modular racks for each venue, ensuring smooth gear transfers across continents. He coordinated with Live Nation promoters to lock in rare dates. In Accra, Ulaanbaatar, Reykjavik, underscoring the band's mission that no region would be overlooked. Local production teams trained under Fletcher's tutelage, replicating Corbinian video installations and mapping subwoofer arrays to local acoustic conditions. Fletcher's calm presence kept the vast machinery of a global tour responsive, adaptive, and faithful to the band's four-part ethos. As stadiums filled and ticket presales soared, the final marketing flourish arrived. A surprise live stream of Requiem of the Night, performed at dawn outside the Colosseum in Rome. 1,000 fans gathered beneath ancient archways, phones raised like lighters in a sea of soft blue light. Dave's voice rose against the morning breeze, accompanied by the filtered hum of analog synths and Martin's classical guitar. When he hit the last note, a chorus of applause echoed across 2 millennia of history. For everyone watching, both on-site and online, it proved one thing beyond doubt: Dave Gahan was far from ready to stop, and Depeche Mode's next chapter would be written on stages around the world. Depeche Mode's odyssey into their next chapter reaches its crescendo as the first notes of Never Wanted to Stop soar across packed arenas and intimate pop-up venues alike. From the sunlit olive groves of Matera to the echoing vaults of Berlin's Kraftwerk, the journey has been an alchemy of ancient stone and shimmering synthesizers, of whispered memories and thunderous choruses. Now at 63, Dave Gahan stands center stage not as a relic of the past, but as a living conduit between 4 decades of devotion and the promise of nights yet unwritten. Tonight's opening in Tokyo's Nippon Budokan is more than a concert. It is an affirmation. Spotlights trace Gahan's silhouette as he steps into the hush giving way to the reverberating pulse of a freshly mixed sub-bass line. Andy Fletcher's sequenced arpeggios bloom like neon blossoms above the crowd. Martin Gore's guitar swells layer melody over texture. And beneath it all, Dave taps into the same inexhaustible spark that ignited in Basildon pubs and Berlin lofts so many years ago. The world holds its breath as he inhales, then unleashes that resonant baritone on the opening lyric. When the silence felt like home, I found my heart in motion. Every cut tonight has been rehearsed with meticulous care. The set list weaves 3 never-before-performed gems: Requiem of the Night, the acoustic Brandi Carlile duet, and a reclaimed demo from the 1983 sessions, seamlessly with the classics Enjoy the Silence, Personal Jesus, Policy of Truth. But the true highlight arrives in the encore, a stripped-back trio performing I Need You on acoustic guitar, ambient loops and bare vocals, reminding fans that at its core, Depeche Mode's essence is intimacy as much as spectacle. Backstage, Gahan reflects on the unanticipated weight of these moments. He thinks of the crash in '09, when doctors warned he might never sing again. He remembers the brittle solitude of writing I'll Never Let You Down on hospital napkins, resolve coalescing amid beeping monitors. Each beat of his current set is a rebuke to the shadows that once threatened to claim him. The drummer's chair stands empty on stage tonight, but Gahan knows the heartbeat of the band is intact in his survival, in Andy's steadiness, in Martin's unwavering songwriting. This evening also marks the launch of the Eternal Mode Experience, a companion exhibition opening tomorrow at Tokyo's Mori Arts Center. There, fans can step into reconstructed fragments of the Olive Grove Villa, press their hands against the parchment of Martin's lyric sheets, and trace the ridges of Gahan's used microphone stand. Interactive synth modules let visitors play original patches pulled straight from the Olive Grove recordings. Display cases hold the translucent olive green vinyl of the Record Store Day single, its grooves still warm with fresh sound. It is a tactile testament to the band's refusal to fade into nostalgia, instead inviting each fan to touch, to play, to become part of the ongoing story. For true believers who crack the decode mode puzzles, tonight offers a reward, an invitation to an intimate live-streamed coenda with Dave and Martin, broadcast from the empty stage minutes after the show. Seated amid glowing LED cubes, still skewering the darkness, they speak candidly about the creative crucible of this album. Gahan recounts how the hush of the Olive Grove dawn taught him to listen, to the world, to each other, to the silent spaces between notes. Gore speaks of the vintage synths that hummed like ghosts in their stone-walled chamber. Together they muse on the curiously regenerative power of returning to ground zero, of stripping away the excess until only raw emotion remains. As the global tour unfolds, Ulaanbaatar's vast steppe, Reykjavik's volcanic amphitheater, Across Seaside Pavilion, Depeche Mode's message resonates, passion not age, defines an artist's pulse. Social media buzzes with images of fans clutching their cassette relics, Arkansas filtered video loops of the olive grove, and selfies snapped beneath Corbin's haunting tour banners. Each share, each hashtag, each note sung back into a crowd enacts the promise that Gahan made at the outset: I never ever wanted to stop. And yet, Depeche Mode's true accomplishment lies beyond the stage. In student workshops where budding musicians coax ambient rhythms from reclaimed wood, in heritage festivals where modular rigs and olive grove clippings intermingle, in digital forums where fans debate synth patch nuances and riff interpretations, the band's influence thrives. They have renewed not only their own creative flame but lit sparks in countless others. Songwriters, producers, sound designers, and everyday listeners who find solace in polished electronics and human confession alike. As dawn approaches after tonight's finale, Gahan steps back into the green room glow. His shirt is damp, heart still racing. He softens the moment with a private promise to Carla: more journeys, more studio nights, more uncharted territories. They speak of family, health, and a future yet unconjured. He knows that on the morrow, another city awaits, another stage, another anthem. But here and now he allows himself a moment of quiet triumph, a solitary breath before stepping into the next wave. Depeche Mode's renaissance, sparked by a confession whispered in a Medici-tinted villa, has become a sweeping global narrative. The frontman's vow rings in every chord progression and every video projection projected across stadium walls. And as the lights dim on this Tokyo night, the world knows this: with Dave Gahan at the helm, there will always be a next chapter. Because real art, like real life, is driven by an abiding hunger to create, to connect, and above all, to never ever stop.